Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. My name is Carlos Torres, and every week I'm alongside Fred Alvader here. Fred, hi, how are you today?
Carlos, I'm here in Dayton, Ohio, outside of Dayton, Ohio tonight. Yesterday, I left Cadillac. It was about 15 degrees. It was snowing. It was a blizzard. We had 6, 7 inches on the ground. We got a bunch more. I drove in snow all the way down almost Ann Arbor. This morning, it was about 14 in Toledo when I left and snowing like crazy. Drove in snow pretty much all the way down to Dayton. And we had a big snow flurry down here. Then it's supposed going to be down to zero or close to that here tonight. So, and all this I'm leading up to, Carlos. I'm heading to Florida, and so Thursday morning I'll be teeing it up in Florida. So I can't wait to get out of this snow and cold.
Are you going to be with Tiger Woods or somebody, Justin Thomas or somebody like that? I mean, just
I don't think so, but we're missing out tonight. Tiger's playing tonight, and we're missing it. The TGL. We're going to talk about that a little bit later tonight, but his Jupiter team is playing the LA team. So yeah, we're kind of missing out on that tonight. I'm taping it though. I'm going to watch it later.
all right, we'll do that. And since you mentioned LA, really, our hearts go and thoughts goes to the people there that have lost so much there with the fire. So definitely, our hearts and thoughts are with you out there in the LA, California wildfire. So hopefully that'll be settled pretty soon. So Fred, we gotta get on with the show today, and we have some great topics. And the first one is about Nick Taylor. I mean, this Canadian has been coming on. He had a win recently. What do we have to talk about?
Well, Carlos, 36-year-old Canadian Nick Taylor is a former number one ranked amateur in the world, which I didn't realize. He was a standout at the University of Washington. He's been on the PGA Tour since 2014 and amassed over 19 million in earnings. So not a bad deal. Plus, you add on some sponsorship money there. He's probably up around 50 million, 40, 50 million for his career so far. So that's not too snotty. His playoff win last week at the Sony Open at Waialae was the third playoff win in the last 3 years. He's had one every year for the last 3 years. He's 3-0 in playoffs. That's amazing in itself, okay? When it's time to win, he's not phased. He's right there. He's ready to go. He makes a ton of putts, very steady. He has won at Pebble Beach. He won the WM at Phoenix. He's the only Canadian to have won the Canadian Open, his national championship. This was his fifth win on the PGA Tour. I never would have guessed that. When they said that on TV the other day that he had 5 tour wins, I knew he'd been a decent player for the last few years, but I didn't realize he had 5 wins. Is Nick Taylor someone that we should be paying more attention to, Carlos?
Initially, I would say absolutely. I mean, his achievements, like you mentioned, particularly his playoff record and his knack for winning prestigious events, mark him as a player that I would say has both skill and resilience. He might not have the flashiness of some of the big name stars, right? But his quiet consistency and ability to seize critical moments, I think makes him a golfer deserving of more recognition. If he continues to build on his success, I think Nick Taylor could become a more prominent figure in golf's so such competitive landscape. But definitely, I would say he's somebody that is worth looking for. But like you mentioned, also he's been around for quite some time, which you wouldn't even think about it, right? So is he a little late to be noticed? That's the only thing that I would say, because he's been like flying under the radar, consistency and milestones, right? 5 PGA Tour wins, including iconic venues like Pebble Beach and Phoenix, show his ability to perform at diverse and challenging courses. But, he has been around since 2015. So my only question is it a little too late for him? He's not that old, but he's been just like flying under the radar with an underrated profile. So despite his achievements, he's been under the radar. Makes him a fascinating underdog story, which his ability to surprise golf fans add to his appeal. That would what I would say.
When the PGA Tour is looking for anything to promote to get eyeballs to watch their tournaments, Nick Taylor is he kind of fits the bill a little bit. And you're exactly right. At 36, is he a little bit getting close to his past due date? Carlos, we have seen, we've watched golf for a long, long time. So used to be guys really didn't reach their prime until they were like 28, 29, 30, 32, around in there. we've seen a drastic change in that. Kids come out of high school now playing the AJGA. They're into college. The college programs are so much better than they used to be. The coaching is great. The competition is great. So when they come out on the Corn Ferry Tour or turn professional, they're ready to go. And so we see these kids winning a lot younger, right? In their early 20s and their mid 20s. And then by the time they get to 30, they got a pocket full of money so they can kind of coast for a few years, live off their sponsorships and their trust fund, and not have to work as hard. But Nick Taylor is somebody who's been kind of a journeyman, kind of a workman like golfer, and is just now kind of hitting his stride. And when he gets in contention, he doesn't spit the bit. He's somebody to watch if he's near the top of the leaderboard on Friday or Saturday.
I bet we're going to be talking about him a little bit at every tournament, especially you have to look for him. If he's close to that top of the leaderboard on Sunday, he can make it work. So we'll see about Nick Taylor. Now, you were talking about the TGL, right? And the TGL is something that is right now playing. It had a strong debut, undeniably strong, and it shows promise as a fresh, innovative way to present golf to wider audiences. So, what can we see about the TGL's debut so far?
Carlos, they started out last week with two teams that played. Shane Lowry was on one team. Ricky Fowler was on the other team. Ludwig Aberg was there, played lights out. He pretty much carried his team, actually. They blitzed Ricky Fowler's team. It wasn't even close. And I just checked the score tonight on Tiger's team. He's behind 5-0. So he's got a little bit of work to do as well. A couple things. I was really curious to see the ratings. And so ESPN reported that they had an average viewing audience of about 989,000, so just short of a million on an average audience, and it peaked at 3.2 million. So that's pretty good. It beat everything in their time slot, college basketball, everything. You know, for ESPN, 3.2 million, that's pretty good numbers, okay? So the overall product, let's talk about that for just a second, okay? So they only play 15 holes. They pretty much do it in a 2-hour window. And do not mistake this for a golf event. This is a television show, okay? Yes, it's a golf venue, it's a golf background, but it's a TV show. And so they've got a little bit of work to do making it more watchable. Do you think it's sustainable? Jury's still out on that a little bit. We'll get through the first year and I'll give you a better idea on that. It's gathered a lot of buzz, though, with the debut. And the question returns, though, do you care enough about it to set your DVR or pencil in on your must-watch plans every week? I'm not sure about that. I do have it on my DVR. I'm going to watch it, and especially tonight's, because I'm really excited tomorrow or the next day to see what the numbers are that ESPN gets from having Tiger on. And not having Tiger play the first week, I think, is brilliant. I might have even waited until the third or fourth week to let him play, so it could have built up a little bit more momentum, and then brought Tiger in and had a big number. Because if you'd have had him on the first week and people didn't like it, boom, it would have dropped like a rock, right? And so sponsors would have backed out and all this kind of thing. So that was a brilliant move about holding Tiger back until at least the second week, and I might have even held him until the third or fourth. So I do have a couple tips, maybe of ideas of making it a little bit better, but I want to stop here and get your thoughts if you had a chance to watch any of it and what you thought about it.
I did the same thing as you. I DVR'd it, and I think it's good. Like you mentioned, the strong points, the viewership for for particularly for a first time event is really good. I mean, beating college basketball in established programming speaks to the ability to attract both golf fans and casual viewers. Tiger Woods, the presence, even though he's losing right now, like you mentioned, I think it's gonna set, and I'm gonna put my over and under. Okay, it's gonna be between 3.5 to 4 million peak viewers. I think it's innovative format, of course. The virtual setting is something we haven't seen, combined with live player engagement, and the players are relaxed, fun environment. There's no pressure really. Showcases their personalities and help build connections with the fans, right? Um, there's potential for growth. I mean, there's star power like there, Tiger Woods or McIlroy. So yeah, it particularly for younger audiences and or those new to golf, that I think is the niche for this specific one. Now, there's some cons to it right now that I could immediately think of. Viewer retention, there's some uncertainty on it. It's a first time buzz, that's great, but maintaining interest over multiple events is the challenge. You know, this first two, and now after Tiger is off, like you saying, I think that was the best comment of this is I would have waited a little bit more for him so that people start to get engaged. Okay, I want to see Tiger, but now that Tiger is losing, and if he loses bad, what's the interest moving forward, right? There's something about depth versus flash. Some golf purists might feel that format sacrifices the game's strategic depth for entertainment value, which I really don't like, right? But you have to balance the needs of casual fans, also the die-hard golfers. That will be key, I think. And finally, to me, the competition with traditional sports. While the debut did well, TGL faces stiff competition for viewership during key sports seasons, especially in markets like the US. So, like you, I have some improvements, but let me hear you first.
Well, this thing's going to be over by the end of March. There's 6 teams, so each team plays 5 teams, five events, and then they're going to have a championship. There's going to be the top 4 teams. Are have a semifinal and a final, which will be held on March 24th and 25th. So it is going to be leading up to a championship. I don't know anything about numbers or what these guys are getting paid. I haven't seen anything on that. You know, they're not doing it from the kindness of their heart. They're getting paid something. Okay. I think they need to bring that out. I think it needs to be something that they promote, just like the winner of the Masters gets 4.5 million or whatever number that is, right? I think they need to have a number that they're shooting for to win. I think that builds the tension and builds the audience. A couple things, you're exactly right about the younger market. That's what this is for, guys that like technology, like to play gaming and golf and gaming on video, and guys that play simulator golf. I mean, Carlos, up here in the north, we have got simulators all over the place now. Okay. Like in Toledo alone, I think there's almost 30 simulators in Toledo, and they are packed all the time. They're having outings, they're having closest to the pin, they're having skin games, they're having all kinds of stuff, leagues. They're really packed all the time. So, and it's hitting a screen. Now, this screen is like 50 times that big, right? It's gigantic. And plus the courses that they've set up for this thing is really cool. They're not using regular golf courses. They're computer generated AI or whatever. It's very cool. And then that green that they're using that rotates, and those lifts move that green up and down, so you get different breaks and angles. And they really had trouble figuring out the breaks and the speed on those greens. And then it turns, so there's 2 bunkers, so the bunkers may be at different angles. One time on one hole they may be on the side, next hole they're in the front and the back, or angled or whatever. So that is really pretty cool. I like that. Okay. So a couple of things that they might want to think about. More data. They got that big screen. Put some more of the data on the screen. Okay. They kind of had some stuff over the side, but it wasn't that visible. They need to be right there on the screen where you see it. Pat McAfee, if you like him or hate him, I'm not a big Pat McAfee fan, but he brought the field goal kick to game day. Get somebody out there and let them try to make a hole in one or hit a fairway or something, and give them 100 grand if they do it, right? That, get from some fan engagement from the stands. That'd be kind of cool. And also, I think this is the biggest thing, Carlos. As I mentioned earlier, it's a TV show. You need to have the players more involved. They seem loose and they seem relaxed, but they need to be really jabbing each other and making some comments and talking all the time. Chichi Rodriguez, Lee Trevino, they'd be perfect for this, right? They're entertainers. These guys have to be more entertainers. I thought Ricky Fowler would do a better job. He was very quiet. He didn't say much at all. Xander Schauffele didn't say too much. But so these guys, the players that are playing, they have to be more involved. They're the ones that are going to bring the audience. Guys want to see the interaction. Just like if I were playing with you, Carlos, I'd be bugging you about the color shoes you're wearing or the shirt you got on or that 3-putt you just made. I'd really be jabbing you with different stuff, right? that's what these guys need to do. They need to be, it needs to be like a buddy strip, and they need to be working on each other in this show because it is a TV show.
Yeah, no, I think you had my points here. I don't know what I'm gonna say now because
Ah,
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the first topic that I have is, data and analytics. I mean, show more data, spin rate, club speed, trajectory. On screen
yes,
could appeal to
yes.
both casual viewers and the golf enthusiasts who enjoy analytics. And that's really what it's on now. I want to see all that stuff. And a
The
lot of
technology
people,
for this thing is off the charts.
yeah,
That's really the strength of this whole thing.
and the thing is, it's available to them. Show it. People want to see that. And I love what you mentioned about the fan element, right? Bring fans into action. Like that 100,000 challenge shot, that adds unpredictability and excitement. You can bring it from the fans there,
They take a
or
break,
or
right?
you
They
can
take a
do
break,
this.
so bring a fan in and do something.
Even you can go even further. You were talking about the simulators that people go now. Hey, pick one somewhere, okay, and have somebody from there do a shot, a specific shot, coordinate with a simulator company somewhere. There's a lot of them all over the US, and coordinate for 1 week or maybe make a competition between them. And whoever wins is gonna get the money. You're gonna get more excitement from the people. That would deepen the viewership engagement and differentiate the TGL even further. Now, yeah, I would like to see more personality and rivalries. I would even encourage some playful banter or reaction among players, maybe some trash talking and all that. Hey man, oh man, you left it so short. Look at me
I
when
don't
I'm
know if they can do this on TV or not, but even the players going, "Hey, if you make that putt, I'll give you 50 bucks out of my top pocket." I don't know if they can do that on TV because that's gambling. I'm not sure if they're allowed, but that would be kind of cool if you had Phil Mickelson there. You know he'd be doing that.
Oh, you know what the spin that you can do to that, and that would sound good. Since we talked about Davis Cup, I mean Davis about the the Ryder Cup last week about the players being paid, and oh no, I'm not being paid. It's just for my charity. Okay, I'll donate $1,000 to your charity if I do it closer.
There you go.
If you
I
do it
like that.
closer than
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
and that's
They can
it.
do that because they do that
They
on that
can,
match stuff all the time.
yeah, they can do that. It's not. I'm not paying you. I'm paying
Yeah,
your charity. And
yeah,
hey, charities will
yeah.
be. Oh yeah, do it, do
Yeah,
it. And if
you know that would get their interest. That would ramp it up a little bit. I like that a lot. Yeah.
definitely, they can do that. I would even try to do some storylines. Create some mini storylines or rivalries to keep the viewers interested over the multiple events. Right. Highlight underdogs or unique player narratives. And finally, I would even bring special guests or features. You can add some celebrity participants or even commentators. Okay, could expand the appeal and to introduce this new dynamic to the format. Just bring somebody, some commentator from some other sport that is very known. Try to bring him
Well, you've got
into the golf.
a lot of star athletes are involved in this thing. They put money in it. Steph Curry comes to mind right off the top, and he's
Charles
a pretty
Barkley.
decent. Yeah, he's a pretty decent golfer. Bring Steph in and let him do something.
Yeah, so you can bring
Of
that.
course,
I
he's
mean,
probably a little bit busy right now with his day job, but
he is, but some others are available. So I think it has potential, but sustainability hinges on the ability to evolve. So keep innovating to maintain the freshness, deliver consistency, quality in production, and player engagement, and build a loyal fan base willing to schedule their time, or at least like us, DVR the events.
yeah. But here's my so if people ask me what I thought about it, here's my answer, my stock answer. It didn't suck.
Yeah,
Jury's
no,
still out. I'm not a big fan, but it was better than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to wait and see how it's going to pan out here over the next couple of weeks.
yes, I agree with that, and I think that's what we have to just keep going. Okay, it's not a no. I liked it. Let's see what else can we see about it now. So anyway, turning the page now to our next one is something that is I don't know, it's a little concerning, even though may not be. It's Hideki Matsuyama, that's my guy, but he's been doing something. It's not often, but sometimes Hideki's known for sometimes throwing the club when he's a little upset or a little hot. And this time it happened in the tournament that his club slipped, and thankfully it just hit a rope protection there, didn't hit anybody, so
A
everybody
fan was
was
pretty
good.
quick and grabbed it, actually.
Right. But the thing is, and then after that, he immediately went after to see that everybody was fine and all that. But what do you think about this? Is it something that we have to be aware of, be taken more care of? What you really think about this? Only not about him or anybody else, for a fact that this happens.
So this comes to me in the category of maybe a little bit more to do about nothing. Okay. Um, we've seen him do this for years. He ends up going through with one hand and finishing up here, and the ball ends up 2 feet from the hole. It seems like he hits a great shot, even though he looks like he doesn't. It's just, I know why he does it. He's afraid of pulling it or hooking it. Okay, so that right hand comes off, so it can't flip over. Excuse me. So it ends up coming off. And unfortunately, at the Sony, which he was coming off that 35 under at Kapalua, which you can get away with throwing your club at Kapalua because nobody's out there. They're the players are the only people that are there, pretty much. And so, but when you get a lot of fans like a Waialae and it's cramped space, it's a small track. I mean, there's not a lot of room there between holes. And so there's no room to throw your club or let go of it. So it is dangerous. To me, though, Carlos, I'm sorry. To me, though, the problem more is if he tries to change what he's doing and now he's thinking more than just swinging, that's going to affect his game big time.
Definitely. I totally agree. I think, he's known for occasionally releasing his club in frustration after shots, like you mentioned, that maybe don't meet his standards. However, instances where clubs reaches a spectator are are rare. This particular incident drew significant attention due to the potential risk involved. But I think this was an isolated event. Okay, I don't think there's no indication that this incident is part of a recurring problem for him. It
Yeah, it's
appears to
not like
me,
he's mad and
yeah,
taking it out on the club. It's something in his swing that just happens.
right. And like you mentioned, it just got a lot of attention because of where it was and what and how close it was to hitting somebody. Uh, it appears to me to be an isolated event during an otherwise solid performance at the tournament, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. He knows. I mean, the players know. They know better than to try to do and pull something that would put anyone in harm's way. So I wouldn't worry about too much about this. But
I'm with you. I think it'll all blow over. My only concern is that it bothers him going forward and will
right,
affect his play.
yeah, if you just tinker a little bit with something where you think you have to correct because of trying to look good and this not happening again, yeah, it's just gonna affect him really, really bad. So since we were talking about Hawaii, you know, and I think you and I have a pickle to talk here about with the PGA Tour. But hey, we've been throwing out ideas here. Hey, we've always been bringing new ideas. We're always available for a call. You guys can call us PGA Tour or the TGL. We're here for you.
Jay,
So
we'll take your call.
we'll take it and definitely can, you can fly us private jets there, no problem at all. But PGA Tour, Fred, should they change things up at the beginning of the calendar year because it's not the starting of the season, right? I think it's worth considering some adjustments to make the season start more compelling. I think it has gotten a little bored before coming here to the States. So, what do you think about this? Should they change it up? And if so, what ideas do you have?
Well, just to give you a little background here, Carlos, we talked just briefly about it last week, but Hideki shot 35 under for 72 holes at Kapalua. That is absolutely ridiculous to me. Yes, I want to see the best players make birdies, but no, I don't want to see them making birdie on every other hole. That's not fun for me. That's not enjoyable to watch at all. I do like to see the shots at Kapalua and then using the ground, the way the ball rolls, and they're hitting the spots. so that it takes the right ground roll to get down to the pin. And I do like to see that. But Kapalua is just way too easy for these guys. That needs to change. Years ago, that golf course was okay. They would shoot 10, 12, 18 under. That's fine. But not today's players with today's equipment, today's strength and distance. It just doesn't make it. Now, the other thing about Sony, and you talk about two courses that are completely, extremely different. Sony is tight, a lot of dog legs. It's much shorter. The par fives are all just long par fours for these guys. But they don't, they only shoot like 18 under there. It's not like they're shooting 30 under or anything like that. It's not too bad. And it does have a lot of history there. The only problem with the Sony is that the big names come in for the signature event at Kapalua, and only one or two stick around for the Sony. They're out of there. They're going back home. Okay. They went out there to have New Year's Eve out there in Hawaii and spend a couple days on the beach. They played their tournament and then they went home. Sony Open the next week, it's a Corn Ferry Tour event. Okay. You look at the top 10, there's only two or three names there that you even know who they are. We talked about Nick Taylor earlier. Yes, he's had a better career than I imagined, but I don't even know who Nick Taylor is hardly, right? I mean, he's been around for a while, but he just hasn't done anything that much. Maybe we should be talking about him more, but we haven't been. And so you get these guys that don't play anyplace else have to go there and play because they can get in the field. Even Zach Johnson was there, okay? Yeah, he's a past winner, so he probably had some status, but give me a break. Zach Johnson is, he's a good player, but he's getting ready for the senior tour, okay, for the Champions Tour. So I don't know, Carlos. Hawaii, the Visitors Bureau in Hawaii sponsors these events. I mean, they're the ones that get the money for these events, and they want that tourist business, right? It's a big showcase for them every year to get people to come over there. So that the resorts and all these people, they want these tournaments over there. There's got to be a course in Hawaii that they don't shoot 35 under on it. Maybe I'd like it better if they just had a better course where it was a nice place and they would the winter would end up with about 20 under or something like that for the week. That's 500 a day. I can live with that. But when you're shooting, 10 under a day for 4 days, that's just ridiculous to me, Carlos. And we've talked about this before, that the tour, it used to be the Tour of Champions, right? It's called the Century now. Now it's a signature event. And it always seemed like it started with like who cares? Because Tiger wouldn't go, Phil wouldn't go, Rory wouldn't go. They'd all start their seasons in the Middle East because they got big appearance money instead of going to Hawaii. So I don't know. I still think the PGA Tour has problems with their first two events of the year. But really, my real problem is with Kapalua and the low scoring.
I totally agree. I don't like the easiness for the players to be playing on, but it's a pickle. Do you really take Hawaii off of this start? I mean, you can even do some. I was started thinking, and you can even try maybe to make it more interesting for the players. If it's that because Hawaii, if a exotic or scenic location, let's do some rotation like some maybe the Caribbean one year, Mexico the other one, or even a unique mainland US destination to start. And then you can keep Hawaii part of the rotation rather than being an annual fixture, and maybe it'll be some of that. But also I think you have to increase the incentives for the top players, maybe larger purses, elevated status, FedEx Cup point boost, or maybe even charitable components so you can bring some more of those big players here. Maybe you can consider pairing the Hawaii swing with an additional team event or maybe a celebrity program to draw more eyes. But you already have the AT&T that is coming very soon after that. So I don't know, but maybe you can change the format. Let's do some match play, some team play, a skills competition to make opening events, stand out. Some like maybe a made for TV mix event where you can do LPGA and PGA tours players could bring a buzz, right? Let the LPGA winners and the PGA Tour winners make it a mixed event. Maybe that will bring some
I
more
I like
interest in
that.
that,
I like that a
you know?
lot.
And that would
Yeah,
be
that's
that
kind
would
of
be
cool.
interesting. That would
Yeah.
be that would bring a lot more interest into that. It would be really made for TV, I would say. Uh, Again, I'm also big on build storylines early, right? Promote Hawaii Swing as a preview of rivalry or players to watch for the upcoming season. Do some more behind the scenes or personality driven content. Help fans connect with lesser known players because hey, those are the ones who are there. We don't even know them that way. Or maybe create a stronger link to the playoffs. Tie these early events more directly to the FedEx Cup implications so they feel less like preseason and more like meaningful competition. So, yeah, I mean, do they need to change? I think Hawaii still serves a purpose. It offers players a low pressure start and a visual treat for viewers. However, for the casual fan, it might lack the excitement to hold the attention. So, while completely scrapping the tradition might not be necessary, maybe modernizing the approach could revitalize that interest, Red.
Yeah, I think you're right on the target there. And let me just throw this out real quick. We haven't talked about this, but in Toledo this year, Toledo's had an LPGA event since 1984. This will be the first year that they've not, well, they've had 2 years where they didn't play because of other tournaments that came to Toledo that they didn't feel they had enough sponsors to handle an LPGA event and the PGA Tour or the PGA Tour Champions event that was going to be there. And so this year, the sponsors, they didn't have a sponsor lined up for the LPGA Tour event. They were about to scrap it. And Molly Marcoux came up and said, hey, what if we held a joint Legends Tour, Epson Tour event? So the Legends Tour players can be one, well, Legend Tours will be in each group of two of the Epson Tour, 1 to 2. And so they're going to kind of like mentor these younger players during the week that they're there, which is kind of cool. So you've got two separate tournaments going on, a Legend Tour event and an Epson Tour event, but they're all playing together. And I kind of like that. So, as you were talking about bringing in the LPGA and PGA, I was thinking maybe because the PGA Champions Tour opens their season this week, actually, in Hawaii. So maybe some of the guys can go over a week or two early and play along with PGA Tour players or something like that. Yeah, it's just something that's a little different, right? And we'll talk about the LPGA or the Epson Tour, it's going to be the Toledo Classic with the Legends Tour and the Epson Tour. We'll talk about that more at a later date. But it's kind of a cool new program that's coming up, and maybe using that kind of a concept to help the Hawaii events to get started on the PGA Tour season.
Definitely something. And again, we're a call away to help with this. So, uh, any final words, Fred, before we
It
go?
could be the Altvader Torres marketing group. We'll put up a shingle.
It will be the AT&T marketing group.
No, Carlos, I'm really kind of intrigued about the TGL thing. I want to see more of it. The jury's still out on that, and so that was a good topic to talk about tonight. And always fun talking golf with you, Carlos, and looking forward to what we get into next week.
Definitely. So, thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest in the world of golf. And remember to like and subscribe so you can get the alerts and be up to date with our new shows. Thank you for joining us.